Hello, my name is Michael. I am running a Boardgames Chronicle blog. Today I would like to invite you to the next in the series of the monster analysis and strategies materials. In the past I did a pretty thorough set of materials and kind of a whole category on my blog about the Gloomhaven. We had drakes, we have various types of demons, we had also dark creatures, stuff like this. Based on this, I'm creating today the material about Frosthaven. So, the Frosthaven is a long-awaited sequel to the Gloomhaven. It will be a standalone game. I think we all really would like this game to come true this year, 2022. Here, the specifics of the game will be slightly different than what we had in Gloomhaven. It will be a lot about the development of the outpost far away in the north. Many more things which are not only scenario or battle related, but the development and RPG part of the game. Based on my experiences with the Gloomhaven and the series which I did about the monster analysis and strategies, I would like also in this video, in this material, to touch on some information about the enemies we'll be able to face in Frosthaven. A disclaimer: the information provided here is only a fragment of what we know. So, you know, guys, in the end, once the game is published, some of the stuff could look differently, but I assume not very much differently. So this should give you a really good glimpse and understanding what we are after. So let us jump into the monster world of Frosthaven. First and foremost, what we learned from the Kickstarter campaign is that we would have three main families of monsters: Algogs, Lurkers, and Unfettered. There will be also other monsters, but those three will be playing key part. Today I would like to focus on Lurkers. They are semi-intelligent species of crabmen. Depending on gender and role, they vary in appearance, with claws closer to lobsters sometimes, but they always are 10-leg creatures. In Gloomhaven, Lurkers are mere monsters only, like any other opponent a party can meet. The interaction with players are limited mostly to combat or sometimes an event. In Frosthaven, it will be completely different. The Lurker society is much more developed. The interactions with the players will be way more developed, to an extent that the party will be able to befriend them. So yeah, a really interesting twist to what we have in Gloomhaven. Currently we have information about three Lurkers, and I will now describe each and every of them. The graphics are pretty beautiful, and you can also check them on the publisher website. I will go through each and every of those monsters, and as in my Gloomhaven articles, I will analyze stat cards, ability cards, I will do some summary, some statistics, some averages. You will be able to download the materials I used at my blog. The link will be below the video, the direct link where you can download ability cards, statistics cards, and so on and so forth. Let me start with the Lurker Clawcrusher, one of the most powerful of the Lurkers. And as from what we can see by the notes left by the publisher to hint us what this monster will be, it will be melee monster with multi-target attacks, inflicts injure, some shield, punishes high armor, and will have earth affinity. Let us see the details now. First of all, monster statistics cards. So far we were given only the monster statistic cards with the 4 first levels, 0, 1, 2, 3. Normally in Gloomhaven, but also in Frosthaven, the monsters will be up to the level 7, but this is not yet disclosed. So what we can see on this monster statistic card: first and foremost, this is a pretty powerful monster. It starts with 8 or 10 health at the basic level, and already at 11 or 16 at the level 3. It has some very interesting specials. It targets 2 enemies at the same time. It has shield. It has injure. Injure is a new state in Frosthaven. That means that you cannot use items. This is melee monster with below average movement of 2, sometimes 3, and on the higher levels. Not a very powerful attack, but I'm sure that if you have a monster with target 2, there will be some card which will be allowing him to target one enemy with all attacks. All in all, enemy you don't want to meet. Pretty powerful. I can only imagine that at the levels of 4 to 7, its strength will grow exponentially, especially on elite level. Let's look now at his ability cards. Here are the ability cards, 8 of them, of course. We can, of course, see the Earth Affinity. It has some very fast cards, like 11 or 13. When we analyze them, I would like only to touch upon some more interesting ones. So first of all, 36 Crush Armor, 36 initiative. It adds to the attack the double of the shield of the target. So if you have a high shield opponent or your character, for example, let's say we have Sunkeeper with a shield of 3. He can have such a shield. He will that Lurker will add 6 to his attack. Other things worth noticing, you can see at least on 3 ability cards the poison. 2 of them, the poison is automatic. On the third, it's poison with wand, the 60 Earthen Blow. The shield, the doubling of the enemy shield is also on the card 58, Smash Armor. So 25% of the cards has a special ability to strengthen the attack of the Lurker versus highly armored targets. All in all, it's pretty. It looks pretty daunting, especially for those characters which you usually treat as tanks. I think this is something new which could be really interesting. Other than that, it can shield himself, already having shield. It can retaliate and has some other normal regular attacks. And the summary. Initiative minimum from 11, maximum 60, average 37. It's fast. It's fast monster, really quickly moving. Variation is 49, so the difference between minimum and maximum initiative. Damage, I'm only analyzing the damage between level 0 and 3. Regular is 2, elite 3 for not much, but as I told you, attacking multiple enemies is of course doubled, so can inflict much more real damage. Hit points high, and they are growing pretty quickly. Elite on the level 3 has already 16. It's a melee monster, and the specials, as I told you, it has target 2, it has shield, it can injure. With the ability cards, it can also poison or wound a character. A pretty formidable enemy. I hope we will be able to befriend him just like the publisher told us. Now, Lurker Mindsnipper. It looks pretty nice with some electricity. Looks like a thunderbolt. As from the notes left by the designer and the publisher, it will be ranged monster, also with multi-target attacks. It will pierce. It can inflict muddle, can force enemies to attack each other, and it will have a dark affinity. These were a couple of words which were left by the designer of the website. And now let's look into the details. First and foremost, monster statistic cards. Another lurker with multiple targets. As you can see, target 2. Another monster which can deal very easily with a high shield characters. Here automatically it has Pierce 2 or 3 or even 4 on the level 3. So just like a previous Lurker Clawcrusher, also the Mindsnipper would relatively easily can get through armor. It's even more dangerous than Clawcrusher because it's a range enemy, so it can reach those two targets much easier than the melee monster. What we can see here, the elite from the level 1 adds to the target 2 Pierce also the model, which will be pretty difficult to get rid of because it's range monster. It can move relatively okay, like 2-3, so the range is okay, but you need to add to this also the range of attack. So 2-3 move, 3-4 range, so you would not be able to escape it most probably. He will always get somebody in his range. Not too much health, but enough to survive to a round or two. Let's move on. Now, the monster ability cards. First and foremost, it seems it's a crazy fast monster. Initiative 6, 10, 18, maximum 51. Its affinity is dark. Yeah, we can see it can use dark. It produces dark in 3 ways, and it can consume with paralyze, initiative 46, and stun an enemy. I would like to draw your attention to the turn the weak card 51. It's not only an attack, maybe not the most powerful, but still an attack, but it also forces targets to perform an attack-free action against an ally of theirs adjacent to them. So this is really powerful, especially if you have a good modification attack deck. It can really inflict a lot of damage. I'm just wondering, because we have of course also such characters in the basic Gloomhaven world like Mind Thief, whether we took control of this monster and he draws 51, would he actually attack his own allies? Well, that would be interesting. Other cards worth noticing is of course Disarm, which could be pretty painful. The 0-6 Psychic Shock with Retaliate 3 or even 5 can be a very nasty thing, especially because it's on the range 3 and it also muddles the targets. 37 Instill Fear not only attacks but pushes the enemy away. Let's see now the statistics. So the initiative, as I said, minimum is 6, maximum is 51, average is 28. It's very fast enemy. So with this good reach of both range and the movement allowance, you will be pretty always attacked by it. Variation is pretty small, so you can predict that he will be in the first 50 of the initiative. As for the damage, maybe not as impressive as it could be with other monsters, but remember about target 2. Hit points rather average from 5 to 7 on regular and elite 7 to 11. Of course, levels 0 to 3. We don't talk about levels of 4 to 7. Weapon type is of course range, and for the specials we have target 2, we have pierce, but as you've seen a moment ago, it can also stun an enemy or inflict other nasty things like disarm, provided a good ability card is drawn. I think this enemy could be especially dangerous when attacking packs with a Lurker Clawcrusher at the front and the Lurker Mindsnipper at the back with range attacks. Now let's move to the third type of lurkers. It will be Lurker Wavethrower. Again, from the brief description on the designer and developer side, it says it is mostly ranged with a low damage but it will have area effects. It can summon lightning eels on the water hexes. This is important. And it can also inflict immobilize. Okay, so let's us now move to the details of this enemy. As you can see, not so many specials as in the case of the previous lurkers. It has immobilize on the elite lurker. It's pretty slow. On the level 0 and 1 you see only one movement point. It increases with levels 2 and 3, but it's still very slow. What we can see also that the attack is not the most powerful, and the amount of the hit points is an average. It grows, especially between 2 and 3, but all in all, it is not very impressive. Now, important to look at the ability cards. And that's what makes this enemy special. First of all, we have a 3 area attacks. Despite the low value of the individual attack, if this enemy can catch 2 or 3 characters, adventurers, with a 1 hit, it can really do the nasty attack. It's melee enemy, but due to the ability cards, he can turn at least 3 out of 8 of his actions into the range attacks. Tsunami 29, Massive Swell 40, and Distant Wave 51. And look at the ranges 2, 3, 5. So he can get pretty everybody with them. What is also very interesting is 98, so 8 from below, summoning 1 lightning eel to an adjacent unoccupied space with a water tile. And we place 1 hex water tile in any adjacent empty space if necessary to summon that eel. What is important? That the normal Wavethrowers summon normal eels, that the elite summons elite eels, and despite, for example, Oasis or the cultist, it's not suffering any kind of damage. You remember, cultists also have 25% chance. It's an enemy from Gloomhaven to summon living bones, but at least the cultists get 2 damage points, not here. So while not necessarily the most dangerous enemy alone and hitting 1 opponent, it can be very dangerous when hitting multiple opponents or summoning the additional enemies. And now the summary of this Lurker Wavethrower. Initiative from 29 to 98 and average 57. This is rather slow, much slower than the Clawcrusher or Mindsnipper. Variation is 69, so large. You cannot really predict where it will be. Not too fast, because the minimum is 29, but still it can be anywhere between 29 and 98 initiative. The individual damage is not impressive, regular 1, elite 2, but remember about area attacks and remember about summoning the additional enemies. Hit points average from 4 to 10, 6 to 12 on elite. Weapon type is melee, specials immobilize, and remember that 3 of ability cards give him the range attack, so can really get to you despite its slow movement allowance. And despite really not having the reach which other lurkers have. So that will be all for the third one. And this sums up this short overview video of lurkers. One of the most important classes of enemies in the Frosthaven, but at the same time, it's also one of the classes we will be able to befriend. All of those monsters, Wavethrower, Clawcrusher, Mindsnipper, has its really dangerous features. like piercing, like smashing through the armor, like summoning eels. So I think that when grouped or working in a group, they can be very dangerous, and various techniques, strategies would be needed to get rid of them. I'm very curious how the new characters which we have in Frosthaven would be able to neutralize those advantages of these monsters. And as for the new characters in Frosthaven, I will put the links below this video where you actually can have a look at the ability cards and statistic cards of all those new characters available in Frosthaven. Of course, stay tuned. There will be more videos like this about the monsters in Frosthaven. If you think this is a good video, please like it. If you would like to see more content like this, please subscribe. That really helps me driving this further. For today, I would like to thank you very much for time spent together. And please join me in the next video about Frosthaven monster analysis. Thank you. Bye.